often accompanied with it in this Shadow Priest.
Not your concede button.
Yeah, their concede button. If you are conceding every time you play a Lucia, thank you. You're doing the right thing, but you're not going to win many games of Hearthstone. But getting things started with the Shadow Priest versus the Fell Demon Hunter, a already infamously catastrophic matchup. We saw Eddie win it earlier on this weekend from after a pretty unfortunate misplay from his opponent to give him a chance in this game. But generally, Leta knows it, we know it. You just don't win this matchup.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, so you just 3-keep here, right?
Oh,
You hope for zero mana cards. You play it on 4, and then a Lucia on 5. Win the game.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if like the Gandling is the highest mulligan win rate card in a lot of matchups like that. I'm definitely holding on to.
I think
the rest though. Are you really keeping? God.
Oh,
there's no way this is right.
Plenty mana
surely.
You trade that away. Desk Imp off the top. Here it is. I'll take a freshman too. Leta did the same exact head bob that I did.
It's like, okay.
He's been around the block a few times. Let's just call it there. Oh, and of course, if you aren't a Hearthstone fan who watches Europe Grandmasters, behold the illustrious background of Leta. Beautiful decorations, which includes a shelf with Northshire Cleric on it. Very small, but it's there.
I don't get it. Is it a trophy cabinet? Just, yes. That's where you shall stay, my cleric. My crowning achievement.
He misses that card. He really
I missed that card. That was a sick card.
I do, depending on the day. All right, so far, the 3-keep has not paid off. And, I'm pretty sure the ruse is up here for Leta because MCTech saw 3-keep and then a trade on 1.
Yeah.
And just playing cards off the top on 2. So what could it possibly be?
Leta's just going to be to his Northshire Cleric. All right, I got to level with you. It's a disaster so far. It did not work out. This could not possibly have gone worse. But we're going to turn it around. Don't worry.
These are not the best. I guess the Dreadlord's Bite is the most amount of removal.
Yeah. And again, like, if your opponent's gone triple keep, they haven't kept one of their cards, or they haven't played one of their cards, sorry, I'm kind of starting to be incentivized to actually play my coin now. I think a Lucia is something you really have to be afraid of already. And if you just give them a coin and the ability to play a Moag or whatever, I think that's probably a bit too scary.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Well, how about we play the card off the top again?
And are we raise-deading to give it Divine Shield? Because otherwise it's just a 3-2 that gets killed off by the Death Spite. Or the, sorry, the weapon on the other side.
I don't know.
TJ, this has been a disaster so far.
Yeah, I mean, you said it at the beginning, though. You know, we can look at this and be like, oh, this didn't pay off. But, like, imagine if he just had a normal Shadow Priest start. His board would have just been picked apart anyway, right?
That's true.
At least this gave him the chance of potentially having, like, the ultimate, you know, turn 5 win, essentially, where he goes wide on board with Gandling plus a bunch of 4/4s. There's not spell power plus immolation aura, and then he wins the game. At this point, even if, you know, Leta does pick up, you know, a great hand for disrupting Gandling, there's going to be enough removal regardless, but that removal would have been also good for just a normal Shadow Priest board, so I like the risk, honestly.
Well, I guess the question is, does his plan become worth it if you draw 1 0-mana minion. Like, obviously, if you draw 2, play them both, raise dead, then play them again, yeah, I'm on board with that plan. But if you only get 1, which is, I think, you know, even that isn't especially likely, given that you only have 4 draws up until that point. Does it become worth it then? I'm a little unconvinced. He gets the imp, so we can test that theory right now.
Here it comes! It's so good!
It's another one.
There it is!
Another one! Plus a neophyte? Oh,
Double
am I a non-believer?
Weapon swing.
Am I going to be punished? Yeah, I mean, it's just deleted instantly, but
yeah.
It was a fun dream.
But let's say there wasn't a clear here, and MCTech had to, like, I don't know, draw a card. And then you just go Cult Neophyte Mind Render the next turn, and you push 11 points of damage, and you're sticking 19. That would have been enough for a 2-turn, for sure.
Okay, and I mean, I guess maybe at this point for Leta, if MCTech goes Skull Pass in the next couple of turns as the, you know, the throw that was played against Eddie, you can play to that as an out and hope to steal their Il'gynoth, because after that happens, it's possible that they just run out of resources and don't have a win condition. It's not likely, because I think Jace alone can do most of the work you need, but it's possible if your opponent misplays.
Yeah. At this point, it would have to be like the most atrocious misplays ever. It would have to be he skulls a turn, dumps nothing, skulls another turn, dumps nothing, and then Leta gets to Mind Render and dump all the skulled cards.
Like, it's at the point where you would rather play Skull unoutcasted, I think. Like, MCTech is winning this game so convincingly. It's not even close. It's not close to being close at this point. As long as he doesn't just play that Skull outcast and lose Il'gynoth or a bunch of other really valuable resources.
Yeah, and I think if you're bringing this sort of anti-aggro lineup, as it seems MCTech is, Shadow Priest is like your #1 target, or one of the highest priority targets. That and Face Hunter. So I'm sure he's lost in every which way possible to a Shadow Priest. Most of them include Mind Render or Lucia. Actually, I would say every single time he would lose with this deck against Shadow Priest, it would be because of Mind Render or Lucia.
I think you're honestly right. Like, maybe if they set up for a massive combo that's super vulnerable to Neophyte, they can trip up that way. Or, you know, if there's a huge gambling that they somehow don't have the answer for. But you're not wrong. Lucia is the win condition, realistically, in this matchup. And if MCTech just goes, as I said, not playing Outcasted Skull and then not playing anything off of it, he should be fine. Because even here, he can go Balnos, Hero Power the 3/4 Fel Barrage, clears off the board and does a bit of damage. Face, he doesn't have to clear anything at all if he doesn't want to. He could just save up for a bigger board clear afterwards once this homunculus wakes up.
Yeah, I would still, again, though, be worried about Mind Render Lucia, because it pushes 5 this turn and then Mind Renders and maybe drops something else that's threatening. Then, you know, you're down to 16. There's at least, what, 7 power on board? 8 power? I wouldn't want to take that risk, so that just seemed...
Did we like this play?
Fel Barrage.
Well, why didn't he Fel Barrage? Like, he could have done the exact same play, but dealt 3 damage to his opponent and had a Thalnos on board. And had an Immolation Aura in hand. Isn't that just better at this point?
He wants to set up for Skull. I mean, that's why he did it, since the Immolation Aura was to the left of Skull.
Sure, yeah, I guess.
That's the reasoning, but if it's correct...
Is that even good?
Correct, that's the argument, yeah.
Again, you know your opponent has a Lucia. Yeah. You are 100% sure at this point.
Yeah, and this doesn't even seem like a good turn, because if you Skull and then you don't find anything that's realistically dumpable, your opponent just goes on the board, Mind Renders, you know, and then that's a lot of power that you're dealing with. So maybe has to pivot here and like Fel Gorger, Hero Power, Fel Barrage again, or, you know, depending on what the pickup is off the top, it could also be like a Chaos Leech.
I mean,
that could be played.
You saw him smirk a second ago, right? That's a good sign. That is the smirk of a man who remembers what Elucia is and what it can do in a matchup. Because he knows any sane person would just play Skull at this point and win the game like that. It's the correct play, but Elucia breaks the rules. That's why you can't play it. You have to make sure you don't give them that Il'gynoth if you happen to draw it. So I think he's doing absolutely the right thing here, just by carrying on, drawing cards slowly. Once he gets up to 9 mana, then you probably play the Skull, right? So that your opponent can't go... I mean, even if they do go Elucia Skull, that's fine. You don't even really care about that, because the only things they can play off of it are 1, 2, or 3 mana cards.
I mean, that was...
plays Fury.
Yeah, he could have attacked into the...
Oh, he just wrote
2-1. He just
right,
wrote,
I thought
yeah.
he already attacked.
I like the idea, though, again, to dump damage from his hand.
I didn't know that token was called Failed Student. I feel attacked right now.
In Desk Simp case, it failed upwards. Like, oh, I failed the course? Well, now I'm buff, so okay.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I mean, again, he played... he played the Skull so that it couldn't be played with Elucia next turn. But it does mean that he wasn't able to play the Il'gynoth. There's a Skull in hand now. Leta can maybe make some magic happen. I doubt it, but it's possible. I mean, the entire left-hand side of the hand is playable.
He's going to be able to play MCTech Skull.
Oh, he plays all of this? Now he can just play the Skull from the left very easily.
Yeah.
Or the Skull from the right. I mean, it's up to him, to be honest.
I think it's time, to be honest. I mean, obviously,
you wait even longer.
You just give him more of an opportunity to dump cards, and you know, if we're thinking about just drawing cards like that, if we're thinking about the possibility of Jace, even though Jace is not amazing right now, it would still essentially be game ending because of all of the there's 2 Fel Barrage, there's Immolation Aura, and you're not going to go for it.
But he hasn't played those.
Hold on.
He hasn't played any of those, right? Jace just denies it for his opponent.
No, that's what I meant. Like, if MCTech had picked
that
sequence, Leta might want to go now just so he can't play Jace next turn.
Got you. Well, either way, here it is. Time for the Elucia. He's able to play Skull from the left for 3 mana. 1 mana left over at the end, which obviously means no Il'gynoth. But Felgorger? That's not bad. Okay, this is a big board and quite a lot of damage that MCTech obviously has no answer to until the following turn. Does this get there?
I don't think so. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage max.
Yeah. Bump, Orc Merchant. Yeah. It's just gone, isn't it? All the damage deleted.
Yeah, I'm trying to look to see what he could have picked up that would have been good. Maybe Aldraki Warblades and Fury.
Right.
He wouldn't have been able to play Il'gynoth.
Oh, it's close. It's closer than you usually get in the matchup. So can we give him half a point for that? I don't know. It's not going to get there either way. He throws it down. He knew this Fel Demon Hunter was going to get a win at some point in this series. It sucks to lose in this fashion. He gave it a very good shot. But it's not too hard of a pill to swallow, I think, for Leta. The Demon Hunter would win a game this series.
Yeah. And, still there's some questions, right? I think that MCTech obviously had Elucia on his mind with the way he played,
yes.
the Fury, even though he didn't get the attack off. But the big question for me is, was it even worth it to outcast his own Skull, right? Or if he had an opportunity to just hardcast it at any point in the game. Because if you do end up hitting discounted stuff that you then can't dump on that turn, and then Leta gets to steal it, like say an Il'gynoth, or even Jace, even though he wouldn't get any fell spells from it unless he were able to cast those as well the same turn that he mind rendered. Just denying that can be a big deal, and then boom, your ability to fight back is, or like swing a board is pretty large. So there was a lot going on in that game, even though it seemed like Leta was just getting rolled. So very interesting one. And as much as Mind Render Lucia has pained us all in some way or another, it does create some very interesting game scenarios like that one.
It messes with your mind. I mean, it's in one way one of my least favorite cards ever because I bloomin' hate playing against it. In another way, as the creator of Top 5, it's my best friend. At least once a week, I just throw in an Alusha clip and it saves me a good hour of sorting through clips because you just pick someone's brain melting from Alusha. It's like, oh, great, that's content. We'll stick that in. But I absolutely agree. I think it was a very interesting decision at the end for MCTech. He was basically coming to the conclusion that he would rather stop his opponent playing a 6-mana Outcast Skull, and then obviously all the cards that could be played off of that. He would rather that doesn't happen than potentially letting his opponent play an Il'gynoth or a Jace. I think I disagree with his play. I think I would have just let my opponent play the Skull, because the only things that they can play with 0 mana left over are, Fellscream Blast, Immolation Aura, I-Beam, bad cards that don't put on pressure, and he would have to target his own minions with them anyway. So slight difference in, I think, philosophy there compared to what we would have done for MCTech, but still most likely a winning line no matter what he does.
Yep. And now we move on to Quest Shaman versus Shadow Priest. Another bad matchup for Leta. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, look at this, though.
Oh, that!
Now I'm on board. This is
and
a
he's on the
disciplinarian
coin?
Gandalf I'm here for.
Oh, man. From MCTech's perspective, double guidance. I mean, even though those could hold a perpetual flame, I'm eyeing a perpetual flame.
I mean, one guidance is so good, right? I think I'm definitely keeping one. It's just one of the best cards in every matchup. Right? It's just a really, really good card. But he disagrees. Wants something to do on 2, wants the bloom, wants the perpetual flame. Fair enough. I don't hate it.
All right. Another Death Imp or Tiny Fin would be incredible right about now. Cold Neophyte's not bad because it could
that's good.
Potential development on 3 into the Disciplinarian Gambling turn, like Feral Spirits, for example.
Yeah, it denies everything but Marsh Spawn, right, realistically. I mean, there's the potential for the Dungeoneer, but you honestly don't really care about that as a 2-3. It's so much less threatening than everything else they can play.
Yeah.
He doesn't even play the investment opportunity in order to activate Marsh Spawn next turn, and he is getting heavily punished for that line now.
Yeah. And now if he goes, like, Lightning Bolt Zapper, doesn't have enough mana to play Marshspawn or Serpentrine going into the next turn. Could play like Zapper investment opportunity, but
I think you suck it up and play the Marshspawn.
Yeah.
It's a 3-4. You lose the spell, obviously, but this hand isn't starved of value, right? You can still just go investment opportunity. Serpentrine represents a lot of value in the matchup just in terms of the sheer tempo.
Ooh. Is it time?
So obviously right now, if you go for it, you are guaranteed the Death Imp for the Raised Dead, but you're only getting 1 minion off the Raised Dead is the problem. So you could theoretically go... What? Twilight Deceptor Coin Wriggling Horror? I know that you don't draw a card off of it. But at the same time, getting a Raised Dead off of that would actually be really useful with this hand. Raised Dead's really broken right now.
I wonder.
Oh, he's going for disappearing Ganlaw. Look to my coming on the first light of the third turn. Dawn, look to the east.
Yeah, do not take this Gandalf for some conjure of cheap tricks. He's blowing you out the game.
That was the horn of Helmsteed.
Well, this is not what you want to see in the matchup you're supposed to win, huh?
Yeah, I mean, investment opportunity hits Perpetual Flame every time, and that's just a full clear, and it resets the mana crystals.
Oh, great!
Lightning Bolt is because he can Lightning Bolt as well, but you know.
What am I talking about?
Yeah. Just gonna get rid of the Ganling. Ooh,
that's pretty good. Yeah, 4 attack, so it trades up. And then going with the bolt as well. Yeah, sure. It's a much safer play, but I do think this is probably better. It's worth taking the guaranteed clear on 2 minions rather than the potential to just insta-win the game with investment. But it is close. I think it's not a million miles away.
Yeah, this depends on how aggressive Leta wants to be. He could take a trade with the Ghoul with Guardian Aug Merchant. But then the follow-up would be weird. He could play like Imprisoned Homunculus and Hero Power down the Marsh Spawn just to keep at least 1 4 health minion on the board. And he's most likely going to want to place this Imprisoned Homunculus on far left to far right, just so he keeps the option for True Horror, since the Homunculus will not emerge next turn.
Yeah, there's not really any reason to put it in the middle. Well, at this point, that Perpetual Flame is looking more important than it was last turn even. Misses on it, which means now he can go Novice Zapper to unlock his crystals, and then Feral Spirits is pretty clean.
Yep.
Maybe you go Marsh Spawn instead, just because the 2/3s are a little awkward. They get VT'd very easily.
Yeah, but so does the Marsh Spawn, right? And the Zapper gets traded over with a 2/1. At least the Feral Spirits, like you there's no damage to face. I don't know.
All right.
I guess you're not particularly concerned about that. He's still got Canal Sloggers in the deck. It's just kind of running low on resources. All right, so Runic Carvings can come down next turn. There's no overload since the Zapper reset the crystals.
Ooh. That's an interesting top deck. It's pretty good in that he still can just VT, drop the Benedictus and be miles ahead on board. He, of course, needs to consider his timing of when he draws the second Raised Dead, right? Because if he goes Twilight Deceptor this turn, he would obviously be unable to play Gandling plus another Desk Imp on this turn. But he kind of wants to play that before he dilutes his pool with all these other minions, like the Failed Students, the Guardian Aug Merchant that just died there. It gets less and less likely with every turn that he'll get the Powerhouse cards back. Oh, this is an awkward turn.
Yeah, because you rip this Perpetual Flame, all it does is hit the 5/6 and then game over.
Oh,
Overdraft.
Overdraft, like, it's good, but you still have to hit. Oh!
Just nailed it. Just nailed it.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, you can just Feral Spirits here and Overdraft next turn, right? Because he has no overloaded mana crystals that are saved up from the previous turn, so it wouldn't allow him to like play Feral Spirits this turn.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Actually,
It's
start
so
with Overdraft
good
and then
next turn.
Runic Carvings.
Yeah. He'd only have overloaded for 4, so that's still playable. Yeah, I mean, the Overdraft is really good this turn, but when you lay it out as he did, being able to go Overdraft, Runic Carvings for probably Rush next turn that also gets you the 3-3.
Wait a second.
But the plans of men crumble before Ilusha.
What is Elun's will?
Doesn't even draw off of it. Oh, that one stings.
Yep.
Obviously, he's setting up for Ilusha and therefore doesn't really want extra cards in his hand, but oi, oi, oi. Either way, he's just praying for a slow turn here from his opponent, and he gets the exact opposite. This is a brutally powerful turn from MCTech, developing his own board, clearing Leta's board. Leta, again, needed this to be a turn where Ilusha secures his position ahead on the board, and it's just anything but that.
Well, I mean, that's the best pickup on an Ilusha turn.
Sure. Let's go with that.
You're probably doing it, right? Like, what?
You
Are you just going to keep hero power and passing and letting MCTech just dump his hand? The other option is we're pretty close to quest completion.
Oh, that you never steal Brukan. That doesn't even matter, right, if you steal it.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. You can raise dead twice. I mean, obviously it's a 7/7. Denies it for your opponent.
Yeah, but I don't think MCTech's ever going to put himself in a position if Leta's not building a board where he doesn't play Brukan in the same turn that he finishes it. That's
madness.
He knows Mind Render exists, right? We saw it last game. Even if he didn't even know that the Hearthstone card existed all the way up until this point in the tournament, he still knew it was there. And now let it run out of time a little bit. And the guidance. This time you might look.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay, copy another Ilusha just to taunt them.
I mean,
kind of neutral at the moment. It's not really good or bad for either player necessarily.
Healing Totem's good. This is starting to get weird.
So, trade in the 1/3, I guess, because it's still. Oh, I guess if you buff them both to the same size, it doesn't matter either way.
I can't imagine a world where MCTech doesn't win a top deck war.
Oh, it's not even close. Like, his top deck potential is so much better. He doesn't even need to get the card draw or generation options. Just any card in his deck that isn't like Lightning Bolt. Like, even Lightning Bolt puts him ahead in the top deck trade. Yeah, it's just Bloom.
What about Lightning Bloom?
Right? Yeah.
And even then, at least it's a card that you can save up and overload with Brukan when you pick up a card the very next turn.
That's true. It still gets him closer.
That's a Bloom!
A 5-mana 7/7. That is a Bloom off the top, though. Oh, just finish him off, please. Leta is out of this game, but he just won't quit.
Here it is. Raised Dead off the top. That gets Twilight Deceptor. Second Raised Dead comes out.
He's already played one Raised Dead. He did it right at the start with the Gambling.
At the Disciplinary and Gambling, you're right. All right, Raised Dead off the top. That gets Disciplinary and Gambling plus... I don't
Any
know.
minion,
Or gets
matter.
both Mind Renders once they die. I have no clue.
Oh, he goes face, my man.
You leave up this attendant, right? Our face.
I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah.
It has to trade off anyway.
Bloom.
I mean,
Actually,
second bloom
wouldn't
equals
even
a
be
7/7. That gives Brucan.
All right, well,
Just
then
winning
what's the
then.
worst draw in the deck?
Is there anything?
Maker that gives a revolve?
That would be pretty bad. That would be bad. You found it.
That's not bad. That's
He
good.
gets another bloom.
Oh.
Okay, I think
He can bloom it out. Yeah, he can Slogger, bloom, and then
Yeah.
7/7. All right, that should lock it up.
I think that'll be enough for Leta to get out of this one. Shadow Priest, 2 losses in a row. That's a tough one to swallow.
The elements unbound.
Certainly is.
Yeah, the healing totem, you may as well take the 2-1. He throws it down. Leta trying his best, playing his absolute heart out, but he just met the hard counter. As you said, the Goliath to his David, and his name be MCTech.
MCTech. Dropping bars and flames. All right, so last deck remaining is the Warlock. It is the handlock for MCTech. I think this one might be the most susceptible, right? But it still has the tools to deal with Shadow Priest or any aggressive deck. It's got a ton of healing.
Yeah.
It's got Soul Rend, which is a board clear, and the quote-unquote downside is oftentimes not even a downside in this specific matchup, because you want to be getting further down into your deck to be able to play cheaper taunt minions and that Bloodshard Bristleback, which if you're sub 10 cards and you play a Bloodshard Bristleback against a Shadow Priest, it's hard to imagine a situation where you're not winning that game unless the board is full. So we'll see about this one. It's probably the best deck for Leta to face against in the lineup overall, but still not a good one.
It's not, is it? And the specific tech from MCTech and Spice Bread Baker, I can never say that one correctly, is one that I'm a little dubious of, in all honesty. Like, in theory, it makes sense, because there are many games when you find that your healing is just short in this handlock. Like with, obviously until you get through to the Bristlebacks, when, as you say, you just win any aggro matchup, then double touch, double drain soul, it's often not quite enough. But I find that against the likes of Shadow Priest, I just don't have the liberty to keep tapping every turn. Unless they allow me to go tap, tap, Soul Rend, sure. Then you're going to be able to clear their board, you'll have a huge hand, and Spice Bread Baker is the perfect follow-up to heal you back up. But again, Sottle's going to hate me for this. As I've gone up the ranks and played better Shadow Priests that know the matchup better and exercise their skill with the deck, dare I say, they don't give you those good Soul Rends. They give Divine Shield to their Void-touched attendants. They're playing, these Divine Shield minions, buffing things to above 5 health. It makes it a little bit more awkward to just play the game plan that you want to of tap, tap, Soul Rend, win the game.
Well, we'll have to table that discussion for the time being, because Leta's actually going to switch up the deck choice and go with the Face Hunter. And there's some differences in this Face Hunter than what we've been seeing from around the tournament. There is some additional minions, notably the Bone Chewer Brawler and Guardian Og Merchant, which that combo is pretty potent, specifically, I think against Warlock, right? Because this handlock only has the 2 ways on 2 to actually deal with the Bone Chewer Brawler, and that's with Drain Soul, which at that point you probably haven't taken much damage, if any, in Unstable Shadow Blast. And if you give it Divine Shield and a lot of attack, then all of a sudden the Soul Rend interaction becomes quite difficult to manage unless you have some additional mana. So one of I don't even, it's hard to even tell what he cut, because he has Felmaw's Brawlers. He still has Adorable Infestation. He's still got all the 1-drops. No Mancrick.
Yeah, no Mancrick, 1 pierce.
Not quite as good in the deck anymore. Because it's not a guaranteed pull from Barrack Kodobane anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very small percentage points worse. But, you know, if you're just playing a 3-mana 3/4 and, you know, you don't have a guaranteed tutor for it in your deck at any point in time, you're not drawing cards very quickly as a hunter, so it could just be that, a 3-mana 3/4. So I understand why players are cutting it, because aim shot is just better.
And I got to say, I like this list a lot from Leta. I think for the style of play he's going for, where he wants to be strong against Warlocks, very often in the anti-aggro lineups, the Warlock is the weak point. I don't think that this has an especially strong matchup against any of the decks left over for Leta. Like, I'd call it about 50-50 versus Hunter, maybe slightly favored. Like, it's a decent matchup against the Druid as well, I think, because they struggle to play around your Soul Rend. But the Shadow Priest, I think, is just favored, actually, against Handlock if they're playing well. But this version with Guardian Orc Merchant boosts that matchup drastically. Divine Shield is the worst nightmare for Warlock. It just makes it so much more difficult to play this Soul Rend, to get these wide board clears, and then get through, as you said, to the less than 10 cards game state, where the Bristlebacks and the Scavengers just take over.
Just gonna backfire.
I like it. I think it's very smart.
Yeah.
Take the damage while you can. You can bump into the Divine Shield, most likely, as your play on the following turn. Obviously, that's setting up for Soul Rend. It's a very face-up play. But what can your opponent really do about it? All of their minions have 1 health, so they can't Orc Merchant any of them again. They can just point damage at your face, but then you have the Bread Baker to heal up afterwards instead.
Is he worried about taking too much damage? Like, is he worried about a situation where he's forced to Soul Rend, but then has already taken too much damage and doesn't have a turn for the Bread Baker?
I mean, the worst that can happen is his opponent plays another Neophyte, right? At which point you just play the Bread Baker for a turn and then Soul Rend the turn after when the Felmore's woken up anyway. Like, there's a good chance he won't even want to play Soul Rend next turn. Renlings is interesting because it's a way to spend all your mana proactively on something that isn't minions, so it doesn't get destroyed by Soul Rend. Again, Leta knows what's coming on the following turn, so he tries to play around it as well as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, and Opening Key just presents an interesting dynamic, because if MCTech were to just go with Spice Bread Baker,
yeah,
that could be a big punish. It looked like he chose Freezing Trap.
I think I like Freezing
Trap.
Trap.
Around the Null.
Yeah, it's the Nulls, and it's also, what if your opponent just plays a Netheron next turn or plays a Flesh Giant the next couple of turns? It has a lot of value in stopping what are almost exclusively big minions.
I mean, if my opponent just like taps and plays a Netheron on that turn at 15 life,
that's
I'll
fair. Yeah,
happily just kill them. Oh no!
Missing the 50-50.
I can still go like Adorable Infestation and then Guardian Og Merchant on the Felmos still.
I was going to say it's so awful because now he can't even Orc Merchant anything. Like, he has the Adorable Infestation Orc Merchant, which is his one saving grace here, stopping him just getting completely blown out by Soul Rend. But even then, because there's 1 mana left over and a coin, whether it's Mortal Coil, Touch of the Nathrazim, Unstable Shadow Blast, or Drain Soul, all of those will mean a full board clear, even with the Divine Shield in play. It's just looking real rough for Leta, and so instead of developing more minions, realizing the Soul Rend is still a possibility, he's just launching everything face and praying there's no healing.
Holds the attack as well, which leads me to believe that he wants a second Freezing Trap, if in fact that is the secret, which I just checked it is. He did choose Freezing Trap from the rifle. So, Ren. Oh, Bristleback gone. Scavenger gone. Drain Soul
Those are some
gone? I mean, those are
awful
all
burns.
decent. Yeah, they really are.
All cards you want to see. I mean, I still think MCTech is probably in the driving seat here. He has a bit of heal with the Drain Soul. That's probably enough to propel him through the next few turns. But again, this Orc Merchant is awkward. Hero power with the adorable infestations to set up for quick shot next turn. Leta's still putting forward a lot of damage with some strong follow-up afterwards as well.
The touch. It is a touch.
Yep. Second Soul Rend probably... probably touch, actually, just because Drain Soul can be pointed at anything. Like, I know it's mana inefficient, but it's much easier to get Drain Soul healing out of your own minions if you're forced to do that later on with, like, Flesh Giant point Drain Soul at your own minion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you
Also,
can tap as well if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very bold. Yeah, okay. Not what you're looking for, but he's got a do-over.
Yep. I mean, we're never in the business of holding on to anything.
So, no.
Just to keep the option of another quick shot off the top open, that is second touch.
Oi, oi, oi. I mean, now you can tap, right? Unless you want to spend your mana on, I don't know, Null instead, but yeah, realistically, you just want to tap through until you find the Bristlebacks, or the one Bristleback that's left.
Yeah, there's nothing that he would die to, right? Because if he Drain Soul touches here,
yeah,
he would go up to 13. He would leave 1 power on board. Attack would bring him down to 12. Hero power, quick shot, piercing shot would be 5 plus 5. That's max damage. Would be 10. So he'd still be safe.
Yeah, there's just nothing. Even AyRoK as well, there's not enough damage. There's not enough mana, sorry, to spend all those damage cards on the same turn. So I think most likely it does just come down to Null, Drain Soul, Touch of the Nathrezim. I know he's thinking about trying to get that Anetheron played at some point, but the Flesh Giants will be enough to propel you to a victory. Like, just going tap next turn obviously completes the first layer of quest. You can go double Giant. As long as you're not dying to this burn, you are winning the game in the next 2 or 3 turns. That's 1 damage. It's better than nothing.
Yep.
Okay, Tour Guide tap. It heals you for 1 overall because you're completing the quest, and then you can obviously try and find the Bristleback, which is the absolute nuts. Starting with Raised Dead, though, when he's at 5 out of 6. Okay.
Oh, the Bread Baker! Wait, those are the only 2 minions that have died. That was guaranteed, right?
I mean, you could still have started with Tour Guide tap, right? I think that was always happening this turn. Felt a little inefficient, but sure.
Well, now he goes Bread Baker, Cult Neophyte, Giant.
Yep, that'll do it. I mean, you could still fit in Tour Guide tap if you wanted. I mean, I guess at this point, you may be afraid of taking the damage, would be the reasoning. But, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, this is smart. Checking for freezing, because if it is freezing, it makes the Spice Bread Baker heal for 1 more.
True, yeah.
Fresh out of the oven.
Yeah! 17.
Yeah, this'll do it. This'll do very nicely.
Yep. Well, that'll be a 3-0 from MCTech. And Leta, unfortunately, will fall to 5-2 which almost rules him out. Almost guaranteed rules him out from a top 16. There's with a 400-player field with 8 rounds of Swiss, I think there's like what, 1 player that's at
I think maybe
6-2 that makes it through. And that's if he wins the last round. And usually it's the player that goes into round 8 at 6-1, and then loses to someone that's higher rated or gets up paired or something like that. So it's quite a rare occurrence for more than that to happen, or for a player that goes into the final round at 5-2 to actually make it with this type of Swiss cut. But it was a bad matchup from the get-go. There were some interesting moments in each of the games. It felt like he was, one bad thing happening to MCTech away from winning some of those. But also MCTech, I think, played that quite well given the circumstances. Obviously, the first game was quite messy with the Fell Demon Hunter, but his mind was in the right place with, trying to deny Mindrender Lucia resources and wait to cast the skull as long as possible, dump cards as they came off the top like Fury. So, and then the other 2 games were just kind of clinics, right, with why those decks are touted to be anti-aggro, and takes the 3-0 because of it.
Yep, he clearly knew the matchups inside and out. He got the good hands, and it's easy to be salty at this point and say, oh, he just got the right matchup. He high rolled into getting the best matchups for all his decks. He brought them for a reason. He brought them to prey on people specifically like Leta, bringing these almost full aggro lineups, full aggro plus control warrior as the 4th deck that was banned that we unfortunately didn't get to see. But it's a tough one to swallow for Leta. Hopefully he can maybe get that last win, maybe be in with a chance, as unlikely as it may seem for that top 16. But congrats to MCTech, now at 6-1, looking very, very strong.
That's right, and that's just the first match that we're going to be covering for round number 7 here. We do have some more matches that we're going to be showing on stream before we move to our final round, so we're going to have to go to a quick break before we get into those matches, but don't go anywhere. Master Tour Silvermoon continues right after this.
Welcome back, everyone, to Masters Tour Silvermoon. I have swapped in now, and I'm joining TJ, of course, to bring you out some more matches from this round. And this is going to be a bit of a spicy one, TJ, because we've got one of the control lineups on stream now.
Yes, we do. SuperFake, a player that we've, I think we just saw, right? Top 16 at whatever the last master was. Was it Orgrimmar?
Sure.
Yes. I don't even know. All these WoW cities just blending together in my head. Yeah, we don't actually go anywhere, so it's hard to have like landmarks that we remember these master tours by. But yeah, as controllable lineup as you can get: Control Priest, Control Warrior, Handlock, and then Libram Paladin.
Yeah.
So quite interesting of a lineup. And then lambyseries does have a very aggressive lineup. I guess Handlock's not totally considered aggressive, but
I feel
it can
like
be, I guess.
Handlock's aggressive in some matchups and is definitely controlling others, so it's kind of strange, right? It goes along the line, but also, yeah, lambyseries with this rogue as well. It has got the Garrote in it, but also running 2 Malevolent Strikes and Grand Empress Shekazara, which honestly I had to sit and read the name because I've just not used that card enough to recall it off the top of my head. So very different lineups here, aggro versus control, and this must be a tough one for lambyseries. Obviously 0-2 down at this point. We are going into game 3. But how much practice do you think players have even put in previous to this MT to against Control Priest, against Control Warrior? Like, it's not something they could have expected that often, right?
Yeah, very little practice, if any, right? Because if I
was trying to be
on
generous,
ladder,
just tried to not put a number on it, but
yeah, Control Priest has seen a little bit more play on ladder. You run into that occasionally, though. Very often when you queue into Priest, it is Shadow Priest. But Control Warrior, I have not seen a single Control Warrior on ladder in hundreds of games, so that's pretty rare. But taking a look at lambyseries achievements, he's been performing quite well in Masters Tours, right? Qualified for Grandmasters, and even though got relegated in his first season, was able to qualify immediately back, sort of in a bunny hopper-esque style. So he's had, I guess, middling results over the past year because of that, if you consider the level of player that are in the same conversation as him, which are usually Grandmasters. Taking a look at the Shadow Priest, this is just standard Shadow Priest stuff. It is the Void Shard variant as opposed to Disciplinary and Gangling, but the goal is the same, right? You just kill him.
Yeah, pretty much. I would say, if anything, this is almost like an old school Shadow Priest list already, because there aren't that many players running that Void Shard Mankrik version with the Thriving Shadows. But this isn't the first time Lamby's done this, right? Just a week or so ago, he put forward the previous meta's Rogue into his lineup for Grandmasters with no new cards whatsoever. So he is not afraid to do his own thing. And I think that's something I really like about lambyseries. That combined with, even with some of the rough moments he's had with getting relegated, re-getting back in, everything, he always seems very positive about the game and just wants to play and play more and more and more. So I think we will no doubt see him at every Masters Tour as long as it's possible for him to attend. SuperFake, on the other hand, again, just a player who's had decent results, but nowhere near the volume of games, right? 65% win rate is good, but only 13-7, relative newcomer, at least in terms of Masters Tours.
Oh, it was Dalaran. Okay, that was the city. That was the WoW city.
Was it?
Yeah, he get top 8. And
the worst part is, I'm pretty
best
sure
Hearthstone player in his street. So that's a fun fact, I guess.
Probably true as well. I wouldn't even try and refute that, honestly. But I will say the about the naming of the cities, it's worse because I think out of all of the casters, it's me and you who've played the most WoW, and we just still can't recall the which one links up to which. But take a look at this Handlock list. Are you a fan of this one spice bread baker that's been sort of dipping into at least tournament style lists?
Yeah, because honestly, it does feel like in the matchups where it's good, you only need one, because you're usually not playing that many minions in the early game. You're just playing spells as removal, and so then Raised will get back the one copy of Spice Bread Baker. But I do think that, with all of the stuff that you kind of have to play in this deck, maybe the wiggle room's just not quite there to fit in a second one. You know, the only thing you could really say is, like, in this case, Rust Rot Viper. But I don't even consider some of these tech slots as flexible anymore, because you kind of need something specific depending on whatever metagame you're going to be facing. Right. And obviously SuperFake's strategy is to play control and potentially counter some of these more aggressive decks, and Weapon Rogue is a popular choice, as well as Elemental Doomhammer Shaman for some of the players that did bring an aggressive lineup, in which case Rust Rot Viper does have some potent games. And I mentioned it earlier, but it is just such good weapon removal, Rust Rot Viper, because in matchups where it's not good, where you're not playing against a weapon class, you just trade it back into your deck and draw a different card.
Yeah, and even in some other matchups, a Spider Tank's shape is just decent anyway. You know, if you do need that minion presence for whatever reason, it's not common in certain lists like this, but in general, just, it's not like you're playing a weaker minion itself for the mana cost, right? It is very reasonably statted, and of course, you do get to have that tradable effect. But let's dive back in. lambyseries definitely on the back foot here, needing a win, but this is a matchup I like a lot for the Priest. I feel like in almost all circumstances, you get there way too fast for the Warlock to do anything. And something I think I was talking to even maybe AyRoK about yesterday was even the Warlock's expected life tap on 2 feels like it just does so much damage to them to help out the Priest.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You'd love it. You'd love to see it. Is going to just protect it from anything possible, I think, right? If you play Void Touch Attendant, maybe they just coin Drain Soul. So now he can go Void Touch Attendant on this turn with the Guardian Aug Merchant to protect it from anything and still push the same amount of damage as he would have.
Yeah, and these Divine Shields are even more clutch than it may seem at surface level, right? Because the one card I think is a nightmare for Priest and a nightmare of board-based aggro in general is that Soul Rend that we saw SuperFake keep, right? And these Divine Shields, well, SuperFake's going to have to put some form of damage into them first and then Soul Rend, because if he Soul Rends, let's say, next turn with coin, and it's just a Mancrick and a Aug Merchants gets killed, that is not a good Soul Rend, and that's probably not a good enough Soul Rend for SuperFake in this game.
Yeah, which makes this turn particularly difficult, because what do you even do? He kept Drain Soul. I mean, it's
right, but
you are, but are you? Like, do you need to start peeling off Divine Shields? That, like, if you absolutely know that you need to kill Attendant next turn, no matter what, you just Unstable Shadow Bolt the Divine Shield off.
Do you want to coin Tour Guide? It stops the coin on Soul Rends. That's probably not good enough. It's so tricky, and this is what I was talking about, right? Like, already, no matter the option, it's a nightmare, and now lambyseries has access to the I Win card, also known as Lucia. A little bit too early for me yet, though.
Is it though? This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage being pushed, and the next turn that would be 9. I guess you're right. He could Cult Neophyte this turn to protect from anything. Nope.
Ooh. I mean,
because he gets the coin too.
Yeah, and he even gets.
Oh, it is over 2 turns. It actually is lethal over 2 turns, because the Tour Guide, that's an extra 2 damage, and then with the Hero Power, an extra 5 damage that he gets.
He did not know this, though, I think, to be fair, so that's why I thank you.
Well, he knew coin was there, right? So, you know, it has the high upside. At the very least, you dump a coin and still have almost lethal. But yeah, and that's lethal damage. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14. GG.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it worked out very well. But I will say, I think he could have got away with Neophyte that turn. Of course, with the Tour Guide, it was a huge help and allowed him to jump over the edge there. But great win there from lambyseries. And honestly, the Lucia obviously speeds up the way the game plays out. But you can already see the pressure, right? If there was no Lucia, he could have just dropped Neophyte, which means there couldn't have been a Soul Rend follow-up. Okay, he might kill 1 minion with Drain Soul, but who cares, right? The damage, I feel, in a lot of instances has already been done.
Yeah, true.
I feel like you love that
True.
game of Hearthstone, TJ.
It's just so funny. Like,
Fun for you.
load up my board. My opponent takes 5 on their turn to rip off a Divine Shield from my Void Touch Attendant, and then I Mind Render Lucia and kill him. It's like, just, I mean, kind of funny.
It's also an interesting point in itself, right? Because although it's tempting to drain soul, the 5 gets you to your quest, tick 1 faster, but it also does just deal 5 when you could have just took 0 damage and used the drain soul to peel the shield. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Against Warlock, especially Handlock, those early turn decisions can make a huge impact on the game, and the second you slip as the Warlock, you are very dead. But lambyseries has to do it once again at least to continue in this series with this Face Hunter, and looks like to me, TJ, a fairly standard looking list.
It is, yeah. Maybe like Guardian Aug Merchant. We've been seeing more and more of it, but some, there are some lists floating around on Ladder. Like if you look at some of the most popular lists from like Diamond to Legend, Guardian Aug Merchant isn't in some of them. And funnily enough, tracking as well has made its way out of some of these lineups. At least in a lot of the Face Hunters we've been seeing on broadcast, there's no tracking. So a lot of times there's like a wriggling horror in there instead for, just to capitalize on board even further. But, the rest of the package is the same, right? There's like 24, 25 cards in Face Hunter that just never change.
And honestly, I can really understand the no tracking right now. The game is so fast that Face Hunter arguably isn't even the fastest deck right now in terms of just raw aggro. So suddenly, like, can you just spend 1 mana to just get a card and then hope you get something good enough to then follow up the turn with? It feels very difficult to just spend that 1 mana in Hunter to effectively do nothing a lot of the time. So I do understand the cut, but we are going to dive straight back in. lambyseries, to win this series, basically has to try and farm this Warlock from SuperFake, and Handlock, one of the best, if not the best overall deck in the game right now. It's still going to be an uphill climb.
Certainly is. Taking a look at the mulligan for SuperFake, lambyseries was very straightforward. Volpertinger on the play is really the only card out of those that's worth keeping. SuperFake, I kind of want to just throw everything away, but does keep Null, because that can be just one of the on the coin, especially a card that you can play incredibly early.
Right. And this is a matchup where you're not as, disgusted at live tapping on 2, right? Like, this is not quite as ruthless as the Shadow Priest matchup, where if you just take that damage sort of past that turn, it's going to be absolutely brutal. So SuperFake can afford to do so, and now with double backfire, wondering if there's ever a decision made to just coin one out?
Yeah. I guess the first one is
Yes or no,
quote-unquote
TJ?
free. Right? Because when you play the second one, you're going to make that damage back up, but he's still just taking a lot of damage, and it's not going to slow down, right? He just takes 3 and does nothing over the course of 2 turns, and then... Oh, that's just raw damage from lambyseries' hand. Look at that hand.
It's beautiful.
That's the juice.
The minions were played, and now the spells are there to back it up. He just needs one of these 1/1s to live so he can piercing shot it next turn.
Yeah, or, better yet, if SuperFake, plays a Null this turn, just push the 3 from your minions and then piercing shot the Null.
I'd still piercing shot the 1/1. Just push max damage.
Just max damage, just completely disrespect the Null.
That is 1 extra damage, TJ. That is huge.
Well, you net the 1 extra damage the next turn by your 1/1 still being there.
What if it dies, TJ? What if it dies?
I mean, if it dies, it dies.
He did go for the Null, and now he has to really pull something out of the bag here. He has a Mortal Coil. Draw an additional card.
He's dead. He's really dead.
He's got Drained Soul, TJ. There's a chance.
Yep. I'm pretty sure even if he coils into touch and then touches and drains souls, he still just dies over the next 2 turns. Because we're looking at aim shot hero power, then the follow-up is quick shot hero power. That's 7 plus 8. That's 15 damage over the next 2 turns, if I'm not mistaken.
He just needs to get to that bakery, doesn't he? To have any chance. He needs to survive this turn and then draw exactly bakery.
Oh, jeez.
I like it. This is a brave play, TJ. I'm not sure it's going to pay off, though.
And, he's going to be at 1?
It's that 7, 8, 9, yeah. Isn't Aim Shot just a great card?
It is. Yeah, I don't think there's a world here where he doesn't aim shot.
He still gets... Yeah, he still gets through the quest reward, right? So even if there's... I mean, he puts him to once, that's still going to be difficult.
He needs 7... He needs to damage himself 7 more times. Well, not 7 more times individually, but 7 more damage to complete the quest, since he completed the first part this past turn.
Right.
Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh,
he died.
Disaster. What's funny is that lambyseries just still had lethal. Because if he had actually drawn Spice Bread Baker off the top, played it, he would have gone up to 10, and there would be exactly 10 damage on the other side of the board. So
yeah, he needed like another coil exactly, right? To keep himself at 1 again.
yeah,
And there is, I mean,
coils. Yeah.
Fair play to SuperFake, just putting the lifesteal minion down, getting that bristle back on board, hoping against hope, but it is extremely unlikely that there's any chance of living here. And already, TJ, in just a blink of an eye, we're going to dive into game number 5, and lambyseries might have a chance here. Can he beat this hand wall lock for a 3rd time in a row?
I feel like this deck can definitely do it. In fact, it might be specifically designed to beat handlock. It's because of the Malevolent Strikes, right? So Malevolent Strike with Ticketmaster and Garrote. Malevolent Strikes are free a lot of the time or very cheap. So you're dealing with the big minions on the other side of the board while also like furthering your own game plan. And then Grand Empress Shekzara, because the bleeds are actually a card that's shuffled into your deck, it can immediately pull out all the bleeds. It doesn't have kind of the spell power stuff that we've been seeing from, it seems like the deck originated from China, from some of the Chinese players. I know there was a player that hit rank 1 with it, the hybrid Garrote Rogue that runs the Ethereal Aug Merchants with Super Cycle and Garrotes to go for those OTKs. This one is much more of a tempo-ish style, but with more burst at the top end because of Wicked Stab. Grand Emperor Shekzara discovers a card and then in your deck, and then you draw all the copies of it. So if your deck has a lot of bleeds in it, even if you're not all the way through your deck, you're very likely to actually hit a bleed and then be able to pull all of them out immediately. Or in the case of Ticketmaster, right, you can pull out all the plush bears for kind of a board in the box if you were able to get those in succession. And then Malevolent Strike, because of the aforementioned cards with Ticketmaster and Garrote, usually become very cheap at certain points in the game. So it seems like a much less consistent version that has different strengths and weaknesses. It's not going to deal as well with some of the more aggressive decks, but it's going to be better against decks where you have time to kind of piece together these combos.
Right. And you are right, against exactly Warlock, this version of Rogue, I know you've been playing like the more standard version right now, but this version of Rogue doesn't really normally have the tools to deal with giants, right? Like, your plunderers have to be pretty incredible to be able to kill off a giant, whereas there is that chance there for lambyseries, and he's off to a pretty good start. You a fan of this opening hand here, TJ, for Lamby?
Yeah, just misses some card draw. A Swindle would be fantastic off the top, or even a Field Contact I would take at this point.
Oh.
Now it's even better because there's a great way to get the Octobot activation. So I think he's looking all right. He just needs a couple more things to kind of piece this together to be a fantastic hand.
In the mini time, SuperFake has basically 2 out of 3 dead cards here, right? The Battlemaster, unless something miraculous happens in the next few turns, is going to be pretty dead in hand. Scavenger can be played just as a 6-drop. Sometimes it's good enough, but it's not really where you want it. I like the raw tempo, TJ.
Okay, I mean, on the play, they're pretty much always going to tap on 2, right? Unless they want to Drain Soul for no value on your 3-2, which doesn't seem wise. They would just wait, so you're going to net some damage either way.
Oh, a cheeky entity.
Mask of Cthulhu, I don't believe has a spell school. Because he was offered Hot Streak there.
I think that's true.
It does not, yeah.
It's definitely not fire.
Double check.
Okay, I would have guessed, if anything, Arcane, but it's definitely not fire, I can tell you that.
Yeah, or even Shadow, weirdly enough, even though I don't think there is any Shadow spells in Mage. Oh! The field contact! I mean, wait, no. Oh, 6-mana Mask of Cthulhu!
If anyone's wondering at home, TJ's been playing a lot of this style of rogue, so he's going to get extra excited when big things happen.
Oh, yeah. This is good stuff right here. This is good stuff. I mean, there's a potential that SuperFake just dies on 6 to a Mask of Cthulhu. Even Mirror Entity is just sick.
Yeah.
If he gets Cold Neophyte here, I mean, alright, didn't hit it, but Want Thief also good.
Ooh. Oh, do you like the entity, though? I feel like the field contact's safe this turn. Is that fair?
Yeah, so if he's counting, the Knolls would cost 3 next turn, as low as 2. So if you're expecting, like, Knoll plus Touch, Mirror Entity would add, on average, or most of the time, 5 power to the board. Giants aren't anywhere near cheap enough to be able to come down, so it wouldn't be an 8-8. So I guess Knoll would be what you're worried about. But if they just like do something plus Soul Rend again, oh, Fireball! Oh my goodness!
Too soon.
This is looking very aggressive here from lambyseries. And I guess, I think with that breakdown and your explanation of what Lamby would be expecting, I guess it's fair to actually not go for it, because if Knoll comes down plus a removal, the contact's dead, and then there might not be any more card draw for Lamby. So maybe he's just valuing getting as much cycle as possible this turn, and if he is expecting a Knoll, then the turn happens, he's just 1 card deeper instead of 1 minion more on board.
Yeah.
Tamsin,
I mean,
doesn't look terrible here.
Yeah,
it's just 1 mana, isn't it? Off.
Yeah, if SuperFake had 1 more mana, it'd be just insane. Because you could Tamsin, Mortal Coil, Drain Soul, and then Mortal Coil and Drain Soul again.
It's like it's just going to have to be trade onto the contact, and I imagine... Okay, going for the coil.
Job done.
Okay, Tamsin, 2 drains now. Not quite yet, of course, but still available, and hello.
Okay, so this is the question here. Do you just Fireball face?
Just rely on Mask afterwards, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's that? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Puts him to 5. Mask does 10, but it's fair to expect a minion next turn? I wouldn't hate
Extraordinary.
Oh, he just gets the emote, just Fireballs.
Is the Baker going to come in clutch?
Oh no, the touch, the ultimate
with
punish. It's
Tamsin,
gross.
Drain, touch. He can actually just kill off his own Null if he wants to, right?
I don't think he even needs to, right? He can drain, then touch, and hold on to the second drain, and just push 5.
Okay, yep, that's fair.
How often are you dying
to
from
go like
16?
You just saw your opponent fireball you in the face, TJ. I would be terrified if I was SuperFake right now. Lamby now, though, with the Gambit last turn, not paid off for him now, and is very much on the back foot. It'll take him a while to really get going with anything. No Garrote's been shuffled yet. so that Grand Empress isn't going to do too much for now. Stab. Plunder. Okay.
Give me that.
Something.
Remove Tammy. Just feels like it might take him a little bit too long now to build up a board. Like, SuperFake stars that zero-cost drain. Got all the removal in the world and all the card draw as well. Oh, backfire, right? Backfire Bristleback.
Oh, that's sick. He's already down that deep in his deck. That's crazy.
He soul rendered earlier. You soul rendered earlier, right?
Yeah.
It's a really good turn. Wait, he's going to tap. He's not going to go for it. I thought that turn was sick. It activates his Barons for next turn as well.
I guess
I'll
he
do this
wants
when
to play
play
the Barons now.
Scavenger now. Okay.
There's a mirror entity though.
Oh, max damage. Anetheron.
Oh no.
Almost out of time.
Do you think now SuperFake's gone, wait a minute, there is that secret there I don't know about?
Accustomed to the smell.
Now what is like?
Okay.
Is this potentially trade mask this turn?
Push 9.
I know it's not
8.
perfect, but he has Wicked Stab. He has Garrote somewhere in his deck.
Yeah.
Instead he could
mean,
go like Kazakus for 5 drops, Wicked Stab Plunderer.
Mounted, aid your queen!
Is he gonna draw the
okay.
notes now?
I didn't see that one coming. Malevolent Strike isn't going to do anything. He's not shuffled any cards into the deck.
What's he looking for?
Wait a minute.
Give me that.
The more I look at this, the more I actually did like Kazakus Wicked Stab Plunderer that turn. So he can push 6.
Yeah.
And have the Golems back
I liked
back up, right?
I liked Mask too, to be honest, and not because you don't develop a minion. It's a clear board, so your opponent would have to play something and then bristleback it in order to heal. You had, at that point, if your opponent doesn't heal out of range of 8, you have both second Wicked Stab as an out for lethal and Garrote, because Garrote is 8 damage in combination with the Grand Empress, even though that's not a guarantee because he's not deep enough in the deck. At this point
was good. I didn't see this one coming.
Yeah.
All SuperFake has to really do now is just about stabilize, right? That's all he's got to be concerned with, not leave himself open.
Is there a world where Lamby can kill every threat? With Malevolent Strikes and like a poison golem from Kazakus, and then kill him right before the quest becomes relevant? Does that ever happen?
No, because there's been no Flesh Giants and there's still Raised Dead. So I'm going to go for a no on that one, Tej. That was a mistake. Wait.
Tap last.
Quite see the mistake?
Mistake.
Oh, okay.
Tap
I thought it
last.
was something to do with his play order.
Ooh!
Steal. Okay.
Cheap Garrote, or cheap Malevolent Strikes.
That's the one.
So you can Garrote and then Malevolent Strikes will cost 2. You know, or you can just Kazakus. No, 2. Whatever.
You can still do that, right? You can use 1 Malevolent Strike.
Yeah. You're gonna leave him lifesteal up on the board. He picked a 10.
Has he gone 10?
Oh, he went 10.
He's feeling spicy today.
He can't even play it next turn. What is it?
I think it was freeze something. I didn't see the other thing, sorry. I was just distracted by the fact that he picked a 10 on turn 8. I'll tell you something, TJ. This game has not played out even close to the way I've expected it to.
No, not at all.
I am shocked.
Here for the tour?
Hey, what?
This completes quest.
Dropped 2 Rust Drop Vipers this turn.
I mean, Raised Dead has a lot of good stuff in there.
He's not played a single Flesh Giant, right?
No, he has a
We could
Knoll,
backfire
he
into
has
Flesh
2
Giants.
Baron Scavengers. He has Tamsin, which Tamsin's actually not great because he's kind of running out of spells.
What if he just backfires into Giants? Oh wow, he's got so much he can do this turn now. Go Omega wide.
Omega wide.
You get accustomed to the smell.
Wider than wide. Yeah, just gonna drop down as many minions as possible, make the trade to get some lifesteal up there, and SuperFake looks like he's feeling pretty safe. Arguably, he should have started with the trade on the Rust Rot there, but, you know.
Malevolent Strike Mask.
Superior Golem is not feeling so superior right now.
I don't even know what it is. What even is it?
Freeze
Like
all,
freeze all minions?
Many options.
Wouldn't have been bad this turn if it was playable.
Yep, Mask. He needs to kill off the 1 health stuff. No! Alright, he's dead.
And there it is.
Battlegrounds Battle Master. Wow.
Strike. Then strike harder.
Been stuck around most of the game here, but it's coming in clutch. Finishing the game and probably providing a lot of relief there to SuperFake, because that series looked a little bit scary for him, going from 2-0 up and losing twice in very rapid succession on this Warlock. Did just about manage to pull it out the bag there, but honestly, I think lambyseries had a lot of other lines to consider that just, I feel, would have got him way further ahead in the game. So a little bit surprised with some of those choices that Lamby made throughout that last game there with the Rogue.
Yeah, as am I. You know, I felt like everything was clean, like up until like that Grand Empress turn,
Right.
and maybe even before that, like unleashing the mask at like earlier on in the game when you know that you're going to get it as face damage, because then at least you might change how SuperFake plays. He might be playing like ultra defensively and not have been able to backfire a Raised Dead comfortably because of the threat of AyRoK plus the Grand Empress. So it was a weird game, like, you know, turn 5 and after. But obviously he did have a plan, because he's like, okay, Malevolent Strikes, I can do this, and then I can play Kazakis, and then get a 10-mana Golem, and then if I can like kill 2 things each turn, and then boom, drop a big 10 that freezes everything, and then that connects, maybe I get there. Looks like what his thought process was.
And that's a fair plan, right? Because Warlock isn't playing Twisted Nether, right? It can't realistically kill a 10-drop if all of its minions are frozen. So it is a plan. I just think there was some better routes Lamby could have took to try and sort of secure that game. But it was a great part of a series overall. Of course, we didn't get to see the first 2 games, but like I said, I imagine SuperFake's feeling pretty good right now after recovering from potentially a reverse sweep with his full aggro lineup, and I'm a little bit afraid, TJ, because that is another control lineup doing extremely well going into round 8.
Yeah, and you're scared because that means once we cut to the top 16, it's just going to be control priest mirrors all over again, no matter what the meta is. Prophecy foretold that it would be combo decks all the way down, that D6 Warlock would reign supreme over the field of Masters Tour competitors. Nope, Control Priest, I'm back!
That's why I like Shadow Priest so much. It's still Priest, but it stands against everything Control Priest stands for. But no, that was our last game from this round. We've got one more round to go, and then by the end of the day, which won't be too far away now, we will get to see...
Wait, Raven. I think we're doing one more game. Yeah.
Oh!
One more series.
Never mind. I got lied to. It's fine. No problem. We're going to carry on. I lied. We're going to check out some more Hearthstone. Who are we doing? Hypnos versus AyRoK. Okay, I'm ready for this one. Going into game 4, I believe. Okay with this. I'm
just going to get their deck list and stuff up real quick here. Hypnos looks like playing an aggro lineup with Face Hunter, Shadow Priest, Brute Demon Hunter, and the Handlock. And then AyRoK is playing I guess kind of a mix of combo and aggro. Has Face Hunter, Handlock, but then Weapon Rogue and Quest Mage as the last 2 decks. So pretty interesting lineups back and forth. It seems that, you know, they share 2 decks with the Handlock and the Face Hunter, but then they had different opinions as to what rounds off that lineup better. Weapon Rogue and Quest Mage, and then Brute DH and Shadow Priest for Hypnos.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to give the edge here definitely to AyRoK. And who did this round, TJ? Was this a Lorinda or a Sol attack here on these key cards?
I don't know, but it's just been like when it was Lorinda, I think it was Sottle, because when it was Lorinda, it was brute philosophy. And so that's his pattern, right? That's his trademark, where Sottle's the triple brute.
Yeah. Good job on the Sherlock Holmes there to discover the culprit. But yeah, I mean, it quite accurately represents the deck. Although I will say there was one game I've seen so far. It was a game Lorinda and myself cast last night, where Matty managed to he lost his brute super early and just managed to get one single 28 damage swing with that deck to steal a game away from Fled. So that was pretty sick. Outside of that, though, in terms of that deck. AyRoK, though, not really a surprise at him going pretty aggressive with his lineup. That's kind of what we saw of him during Grandmasters as well. So looks like he's going to be on this Weapon Rogue, though, to go against Brute. And weirdly enough, I don't know if you agree, TJ, but it's one of the matchups where, like, the Brute's just being kind of played out even at an average rate can cause some problems, just because the nature of how many swings it takes to sort of chunk through them.
Okay, sure, yeah. But if you don't brute, you lose.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's definitely the case. Sometimes if you do brute, you lose, TJ. So
yeah, that is also true. Yeah, if the weapon's big enough and you just have paralytic poison, you can just eat them up. Or if there's only 1 or 2 of them, yeah, Cloak can buy a lot of time. Sometimes if you just get enough damage in really fast, then you don't even have to attack with your weapon anymore. You just kill Trader Garrote and then cutting class a bunch of times and kill him.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see if this comes up, because it's something I know has happened a few times already on stream, and something Sottle mentioned earlier was we saw decks that are running Viper against Weapon Rogue. I think multiple times the player with the Viper just got the Swanker Shank on almost the turn it was played, right? Whereas I would really like to see players hold on to it a little bit more and try and just, snipe some of those poisons and just take 1 swing's worth of damage or so. So I'm very interested to see how Hypnos approaches this if he gets hold of the Viper at a relevant time. But AyRoK, going for the self-sharpening sword first.
Yeah, maybe it's like a Viper magnet. I don't know. It's like, I'm just going to keep hitting you for a lot with this self-sharpening sword unless you Viper right now. Kind of an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
And there's the Viper.
It's also versus the dynamic of it's super early in the game, so it's as unlikely as it's ever going to be that they'll have it as well, right? So it's kind of the same approach, just in slightly different ways. Let's prep cutting class. Okay, yeah, AyRoK going for the card draw pretty quick.
Job's done.
Okay.
I think this poison, plus obviously the weapon stacking up, is enough for Hypnos to respect it, or do you think he's going to be a greedy person?
Like, it's 2 more card draw. And what, at least 7 more damage? I don't know. I don't think it's worth it yet. Because if they stick that damage, maybe they don't even need to attack with weapons anymore. But he's not going to Viper it. I doubt he's going to trade the Viper work.
Oh.
Okay. We got a Brute. Ildar studies Insta philosophy. Nope. Bummer.
Ever a world in which Stelina does anything relevant? I'm not sure. Not with the weapon drawing cards as well, right?
Nah. It's
probably not valuable.
Probably I-beam. Yeah.
Pleasure
You can
doing
go for
business.
something aggressive. Alright, trade. Maybe you find Philosophy since it'd still be free from the Illidari Studies buff. And gonna dump the Fury because it's most likely gonna glide again next turn. Or not again. Yeah, Acrobatics that turn. It's most likely a glide next turn. Just so scarred by glide, I just feel like every Hearthstone turn passes and a glide has been played.
Yep, TJ wakes up in cold sweats just saying 2 words over and over again. Brute and glide. Still better than Derek, though, who wakes up saying brute me,
Another
dude.
happy guild?
Oh. So Silverleaf Poison and a hit, and then that'd be 1, 2. There'll only be 2 cards played.
You really want to see this
Prize
prize
plunder.
plunder just deal 7, right?
Okay, you can prep Silverleaf Poison, maybe draw another. Okay, he's gonna kill. Wait, what?
Gotcha!
Give me that. Not what I want.
Is that 5?
All right.
Sizzle!
Okay. I thought that was 5 then, and it was a clean kill, and I miscounted or something. I was very confused for a
No.
second. Guild Trader just hanging out in the bottom right corner of the screen for a second there, saying hello.
Wait, why was it there?
I think it's because it got drawn and then the turn ended, which then put it back fast enough.
Why
For it to
would it
hang
put
around.
it back? Because it got drawn by cutting class, so it should have come back to the original hand.
I'm going to take a pass on this one, TJ.
Am I missing something here? Why did it just
I don't
pop up
know.
like
I'm
that?
confused now.
Demons.
Just wanted to say hello.
Demons.
Oh, because he drew into it with the secret passage, but then traded it away. So the game was like, you had this,
so it's
but
gone
then you
back and
decided to
kinda
get
gone
rid
back
of it.
again, yeah.
So it went back in the hand for a second, but then the game was like, wait, no, that's supposed to be in the deck, and then threw it back in the deck.
You've got to
All right,
live
I
with your
understand.
decisions.
Yeah. Look at what you could have had.
You're not going to get this Garrote down now. Still has card draw as well with this one last swing, right? So this will just draw him.
Yep. And he's just gonna equip the Swine Tush Shank here. Oh, what? That was weird.
I mean,
19 cards in deck and just draws 2 of the 3 bloods.
easy. I think with this pre-equip, although it looks weird that we can see because it's playing into Viper without any swings, I think it's fair for AyRoK to kind of assume Viper's not there, right? I think, or at least if it was me and I was playing on Hypnos side, I would have definitely Vipered that self-sharpening sword at this point. I feel like it's done a lot of work in this game.
Yeah, and now he's not even Vipering again because he wants to play the Kurtrus. Is he going to trade it to draw a cheap card?
Surely not.
Demons. Demons.
I don't see anything wrong with playing Crimson Sigil Runner here, honestly.
Time grows short.
It's unlike if AyRoK trades into it, great. If he doesn't, great. It's more damage, and I think Hypnos is getting to the point where he needs to finish this game relatively soon.
I grow impatient.
And look at his hand, right? He's got glide,
to it, that's
acrobatics.
free card draw. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
I just think he's got so much card draw. Like, does he need one Crimson Sigil Runner if he draws it in position, right? This cloak is going to be huge for AyRoK. Basically, just buying himself all the time in the world.
Yep. And this Swanta Shank will be Vipered almost certainly because I doubt Hypnos is even going to want to draw that many cards. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, do you... Okay, I guess Spirit Trailer picked up, so he can draw a little bit if he feels afraid, but... Are you afraid from 11? Right now, there are 4 bloods in the deck, so that's 8 damage, but there's still 14 other cards, so it'll be 13 after the natural draw. And if you're destroying the weapon, it would cost a lot to re-equip in Silverleaf Poison. There's no cutting classes left.
Yeah. I think he's probably more focused on Wicked Stab Sinister Strike numbers, isn't he, at this point? There's one Wicked Stab left, I think, and still the 2 Sinister Strikes.
Do you really want to glide?
Give your opponent more cards?
More damage yourself?
I see.
Because he could just draw all the bleeds?
True.
Time grows short.
Where's the Brute, TJ? I mean, Hypnos...
Oh yeah, there is a Brute left.
Yeah, he needs it, right? Because it's the only, I think, way he's got to hope to just build the board up enough, and that with the philosophy plus Brute that turn, he could almost say to AyRoK, okay, you need to kill me or have Cloak, or you are very, very dead.
Watch him Secret Passage into 4 bleeds here, just hard cast them all.
Okay, Guild Trader, not going to be worth it right now. There's Wicked Stab for 4.
Okay, if he trades and gets 2 bleeds from the draw, that's lethal. There are 4 bleeds in the deck currently. Okay, 1 bleed. Oh!
Not enough. So can he...
He can still trade and get 3 more bleeds because there's 3 bleeds in the deck. It's a very low chance.
Does he not just want to plunder a... and extortion this turn? Kill off the...
I mean, there's... Yeah. It is 1, 2, 3... Only 3 cards played. So extortion and then prize plunder, kill off the 3/4. Try to protect himself the most. Yeah, there's no... I mean, there's no healing in this deck. In the Brute DH. So... He's a blood in the Wicked Stab away. Yeah, but has he not used both Illidari studies? Maybe I'm wrong, but...
Oh, I thought he didn't use 1, but I could easily be wrong as well, if I'm honest. It's hard when the deck's shuffling as often as it is with this deck, right?
And we don't have our deck tracker in these fill matches, so...
The old school way of just guessing.
Yep. All right, he's past the point of philosophies. He does not want to draw philosophy with Glide. So he's just going to dump those for no value. There's a Brute. He's looking for the Lion's Frenzy. At this point, it'd be 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... 16 damage,
right?
If he picks it up right now, he would need more card draw. He'd need 2 more card draw on top of it. Wait, he could just die. Because there was 3 bleeds left in the deck. Oh!
He's still green, right? So he's not? Is that fair? He's playing his turn.
Still green, yeah. He still needs to... He's running out of time. Lion's Frenzy. Did he get it? Oh, no! Oh, he didn't have enough mana because he traded. He had to trade into it.
You possess true power.
Oh, that would have been...
And now he's dead.
That's going to be game for AyRoK, but... Oh, that was so close, TJ. It was so close.
Is there any other order he could have done it in? Could he have not played Kane?
Probably right, because you've got to imagine Lion's Frenzy did more than 3 damage, and it cost him 2 mana to play Kane.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Lion's Frenzy was at 10, which if you minus the Kane damage would have been exactly 10 at the end. Maybe he thought that he needed the Kane damage as well, so he wanted to get it out of the way. I don't know. That's a tough situation. He had to kind of go. He needed to have thought about that the turn prior, though. Like, he needed to dump the philosophies quicker and then immediately dump whatever he was going to dump and then glide and go for it and react from the decisions from that point. So...
It's definitely one of those turns that you need to watch in slow-mo a couple of times just to work out exactly if there was, any differences in turns, what he could have done, maybe even a different setup. It was extremely close, but AyRoK just about got there with